Okay. Oh yeah, ignore the ship. I just wanted to pull this event up to give an explanation. Okay, oh, let me get the tier list ready. Okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that. All right. Hey, I foresee this shouldn't be as long as the other tier lists because I just condensed all of the weapons into one tier list this time instead of having a split normal weapons and special weapons, because you go through ending you're gonna get like 8 weapons anyways. So I don't think, and it's late game, you're not gonna activate this early game, so you will get a lot more event weapons, renegade loot, and all those fancy stuff. So I'll just put them all into one tier list this time. Okay. As for criteria, I will say it is on hard extreme no pause. Once again, and because this time we're talking about true ending, we gotta beat the 3 big bosses are the Obelisk Dreadnought, the Royal Dreadnought, and the MFK Flagship Ace. Now, the thing is, if you have a build that is good at defeating the MFK Flagship Ace, the other two are very, very easy. So the main criteria for me is how good is the weapon for helping you to defeat the MFK Flagship Ace. One second. YouTube's telling me there's buffering going on. Hang on, I'm just gonna let it recover for a second. Why is it dipping orange randomly? Right. Strange. Not sure why YouTube's telling me this, but my OBS is telling me everything is fine. It's like, it's green on OBS side. I don't know why YouTube's error is still open. Yeah, stream status poor on YouTube side. That's strange. Let me just double check my connection. Yep, hello, welcome. Oh, by the way, while I'm just checking the connection, is the music's not too loud, is it? If it's too loud, just let me know. I gotta knock the volume down a little bit then. What? Stream just cut out for a sec. What is going on? No, my internet's fine. YouTube's just being funky right now. Music's fine. Okay. Yeah, OBS is telling me the stream quality is fine. I don't know why YouTube still has this error message on my side. Okay, we're just gonna We're just gonna ignore that. If the stream does get too laggy, then just let me know. Yeah. I hope it doesn't turn bad. Okay, where was I? Yes. Tier is mostly based on how well the weapon performs against the MFK flagship, because if it performs well against MFK flagship, it will smash the Dreadnought, it will smash the rest of True Ending. And another thing to keep in mind is that um, ammunition is not really an issue, scrap is not really an issue, so we don't have this early game problem anymore where we can't have an upgraded weapon system. We can expect to have full power in weapon system, 8 power, or for some reason if you're playing a ship with less weapon power than that, then good luck, I guess. But yeah, we can assume all critical systems are maxed, like shields, weapons, maybe not engines, because depending on the run, but cloak, hack, I wouldn't recommend hack, but teleporter, drones. So all the stuff that's critical for you to run the max offense you can run and the max defense you can run, assume it's up there, right? But then again, I don't want to say it's a bit sketchy to say that, like assume everything is maxed, because I don't want, as a subtle foreshadowing, sync KDR is not that high, but I don't want people to just say you can overload your defenses and then run sync KDR and win. Sync KDR still requires a lot more investment than the other better alternatives. So it's okay. I guess we can use the ship tier list analogy here. Just because a weapon is aside from F tier, we'll get into the F tier in a second. If a weapon is a D tier, it does not mean it is terrible. You should never use it against the flagship. It's just that everything else above it is better. Though the F tier, I would say, it's stuff I would just generally avoid. A lot of them actually is very hard to justify using against MFK flagship. Okay, with payload being so OP, that's like the opposite of what we want to do. Just make it so that payload's even more mandatory. I guess that's kind of a buff to like, I don't know, Dianish? Anything that does like 5 system damage in one shot. Okay, so, I should, hang on. Instead of doing this fight immediately, let me just, event, storage, check. Oops. Okay, so just a couple of things I want to point out with regards to flagship, because I think a lot of people are not, well, if you play extreme True Ending, you will know how insane the MFK flagship is, but if you don't, I'm gonna show you right now. So we got I need people still have to go. No, cruise. Nice. Carnage is going to be AOST against MFK flagship. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, I will say Carnage probably A/S tier against the Dreadnoughts. MFK flagship, accuracy a bit of an issue. Because the Dreadnoughts do have 2x2 weapon and artillery rooms, so yeah, the Carnage is great against those, but flagship has 1x2 artillery rooms, which is really rough. Okay. So, a bit of background context as to how dangerous this MFK flagship is on extreme difficulty. So, first of all, a full MFK crew. The only non-MFK is Vance, and he's stronger than an MFK, so it doesn't really count. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 MFKs plus Vance. So any boarding is going to be hard unless it's system damage boarding, or unless you're using Jerry, but that doesn't count because you've won the game at that point. Now, on top of all that, they have level 4 artilleries, which I'm pretty sure this is present on every difficulty except casual, so just it's another thing to keep in mind. Level 2 cloak, I think this is 10 power in drones. Yeah, let me show you the drone real quick. So we have here Hellraiser, I believe this is a fire mode Hellraiser, and 2 combat laser drones. So right off the bat, any super shield you have is gonna get ripped instantly, unless you have an anti-drone, which is why I keep saying anti-drone is super important in true ending, and this is one of the main reasons why. 2, this is basically like 50% more dangerous than the Monk Renegade, which is already very scary. So, and they also have Overcharger just to make things more annoying. Now, another thing to keep in mind, they have a level 4 teleporter. This was removed recently from player ships, and that functionally means the enemy can just instantly teleport onto your ship. Now I think this one's bugged a bit because I spawned this ship in sector 1, so they may not have enough power. But you best believe in true ending, when you face this in the final fight, this thing will be max powered. So what they typically like to do, they typically send 3 waves. So in about 10 seconds at the start of the fight, when they uncloak, you'll have 6 spotters on your ship to deal with. 5 MFKs, 1 Vance. Your anti-bonding has to be top notch for that. And whatever crew you kill, they're gonna instantly clone because they have a level 4 clone bay. So anyone you kill is gonna come right back unless you either damage the teleporter or the clone bay. And on top of all this, we've got Reach Siren. So you already know Ruin's Shield is gonna be FTL if that wasn't obvious enough already. Shield recharge 6 shields, so bad news for all the laser fans out there. Not a good time to be using lasers. But most importantly, like this timer, I don't think many people talk about this enough, because on lower difficulties, I think you can get away with just throwing enough system damage and then top it up with a bit of hull damage and you'll be fine. But on extreme, you have to balance system damage with a healthy dose of hull damage, to be honest, because the Overcharger drone, if you're not careful, that thing can tank big missile shots, and that can hamper your hull damage and system damage as well. So putting all this together, first of all, I'm gonna spawn 5 again so we can see the rooms. Okay, first of all, the artilleries are all 1x2 rooms. We need some way to actually damage these consistently. Radius weapons are not consistent against any of these. We need something that takes out their cloaking. So if you don't take out their cloaking, you essentially have less than 2 minutes of active fire time to chew through 12 points of super shield and overcharger drone, 45 hull, while you're dealing with insane boarding, which they supplement with 2 advanced cognitives when you cut the flagship hull in half, which is supplemented by a level 4 clone bay which instantly clones crew, and to top it off they also have drones. So there's a lot to go on here. We need, and one thing I need to point out, the magic number right here is going to be 4. Why did I say that? Notice how 4 system damage in any room, it absolutely triples the offense for the amount. If you can deal 4 system damage to a single room with 1 weapon, you take off a lot of pressure. 4 system damage will knock off any artillery, it will knock off cloaking, it will knock off teleporter, it will knock off clone bay. If you look at the drones, it actually knocks off 2 of their offensive drones as well, because since their offensive drones are 3 power each, that means by dealing 3 plus 1 damage, they can't run 2 of the drones. So, like, you saw those 3 drones flying around your ship. If you send a payload into here, suddenly there's only 1 drone flying around your ship. That's a very big deal. So, just keep this in mind. Like, there are a lot of weapons you see that sometimes they deal 3 damage and I rank them a bit lower than something that deals 4 damage and I put those higher. Some weapons, they deal too much damage, like they take too long and they overkill the room, like Purifier 2 for instance. That one's pretty low, because we don't need to overkill rooms. Like, unless your name's like Chaos Obsidian and you just delete all shields in one shot, then that's a different story. But if we talk about something like Purifier 2, it's 6 damage. Like, 4 power to disable this room when payload does it in 2, when amber launcher does it in 3 power, when heavy laser 2 does it in 2 power. It's too much. So everything is roughly balanced around the fact that 4 system damage is the magic number. Yeah, that's true. Like 4 payloads actually totally acceptable DPS on lower difficulties. It's honestly kind of funny, but you can't do that on extreme. So that's another dangerous thing about this flagship on extreme, is because you are forced to have a power damage option. You can't just rely on payloads or just a cheap, I don't know, Artemis. You gotta have something more than that. Luckily, you have Onslaught, which is pretty high, but we'll get to that. You can use the anti-teleporter mind control augment. That is true. So the thing is, you have a lot of things you want to counter in this fight. Stalking flares I would still consider to be the best, because the anti-boarding part, you technically can deal with it in your own ways. Like, you get E right before this fight. I know we meme on E a lot, but E is still a very good anti-boarder. You can get, at this point, you can get Met Bots, you can get, if you're having mind control, you can get, what's it called? Level 3 mind control, cerebral overcharge. I personally just find tracking flares better, but yes, you're right. It's called Disruption Field. Yes, Disruption Field is pretty decent in this case as well, because if you have a very strong weapon setup and drone setup, and your only weakness is crew, then yes, Disruption Field very valid. Function on Noiter is not enough damage. Yeah. Night. Yeah. Okay, so just keep this in mind as we go through the tier list. We are basing this on the extreme MFK flagship because every other fight in True Ending is piss easy compared to this fight. And 4 system damage in one room against the magic number needs to be consistent, can be dealt through 6 shields, a 12-point super shield, and you need to have decent enough hull damage. Alright, let me pull up the tier list right now. I left everything in there because I think since I have since I added every single weapon together, I think it would be too much time if I just like drag each and every one of them into its place. Let me see. Is this the right one? Okay, cool. Oh yeah, one thing, the only 3 weapons I didn't rank, this one of like, I think we all know where that's gonna go. And also these 2 aren't actually weapons, they just occupy a weapon slot, but they're meant to be turned into drones, so it doesn't really count. Okay. Oh, one sec, hang on. I forgot to turn on my split screen, which made things a lot easier. Yeah, we're just not gonna rank that. Like, that's obviously one of the most game-breaking items anyways, so... Keep changes. Cool. Drag this down here. Alright, and yeah, when I made that post about like the FTL takes up my entire screen, I'm talking about this, and honestly, I will be talking about that's probably gonna be the case for what's it called? For Nexus as well, because the way these endings shape up, the weapon pool is extremely limited, I have to say. Alright. Okay, let's get started. Yeah, these tiers are just like filler tiers, so we slowly review the tier list. I'm going to show you the entire FTL once. There is a lot of weapons in here. Now, just now as I was mentioning the D tier and how the D tier is not totally useless, the F tier are just weapons I would not use at all. Like, it's too risky in my opinion to be using any of these. The only reason I would be using these is if I had my win condition secured somehow, some way, in another form. Okay. Oh, let's see. Where do we start? Where do we start? Okay, I tried to group these weapons into categories so I can explain a whole bunch of them at once. So hopefully I stuck to that for the most part. Let's see. Starting from the top. Any laser that's technically so inefficient, like 2 power 2 shots, F tier. We have a flagship that has 6 shields, MFK's piloting the pilot and engines, and they have shield recharge booster. Anything that has bad shot efficiency just is not gonna make it. It's not gonna cut it. Yeah, then same goes for 3 power 4 shots. Too long does not do enough. Pierce, that. Yeah, burst 3, charge 3. Steel Flag's also same category and it's even slower, so arguably worse. Burst 4, by the time the volley finishes, the enemy probably has regenerated a shield bar already. Same with Harbinger 3, yeah. Purifier, this is what I mentioned just now, overkill at its finest. I don't need 4 power to damage 1 artillery, that's way too much. Same with this. I think this one also falls under the overkill category and it's also really slow. Chain charge, like adaptive weapons and chain weapons are horrible unless they're like they actually chain decently quickly and actually can provide value once they're at their max speed. But not the case for Vulcan, chain energy, ion chambers. Oh gosh, we have so many ions here. Like ion stacking is dead against the MFK flagship. You do not have the time and the luxury to just slowly stack your ions because you not only have a timer for how fast you need to kill the flagship, you also are getting swarmed with boarders. If they board your weapons, your weapon manning is gone, so stacking is going to be worse. They have cloak, they have an overshield drone. It's just all around horrible, and you need to break through 6 shields before you can even start damaging with anything else. So yeah, I'm sorry, but like I think almost every single ion and energy weapon is down here, except obviously Big Ion. Power efficient Frost 2? Yeah, I can see that. I think that would place around B or C tier. But that's just the truth of like, I think it's C tier honestly. It's just how True End shapes up to be. It's just very rough for lasers in general. Like you see a lot of the lasers are very low, with the exception of the truly broken ones, like some Chaos weapons and Royal Harbinger. That's also very high, but that's because their stats are so heavily inflated that they are the only reason why a laser build can work. The normal lasers are just not good enough. Plasmas suck. Let's move on. Some of the less efficient crystal weapons are also down here. Like Neo Crystal is very bad. It's only good if you can do shield suppression, which is very hard to do against the flagship. These are just slow and don't provide any synergy. If you're gonna break shields enough for crystal weapons to get through, you may as well break them all the way and let something more effective like a Zenith Laser or Heavy Laser 2 get through than these 2 power 3 shot 16-second crystal guns. Crystal Scan is inaccurate. 1 power weapons are generally really bad. Conservative weapons generally really bad as well, because at this point, like I said, we don't value we don't need to prioritize having a low power weapon system as much. We can afford to play with 8 power and weapons, so we need stuff that's just efficient, and unfortunately conservative weapons are not it. Everything that's quick killing, I will put with a big asterisk here. You can use it to crew kill the Royal Transport, which can give you a very strong weapon. Outside of that, total garbage. Do not use crew kill weapons. Oh, well, strictly enemy ship crew killing weapons outside of the Royal Transport. Oh gosh, beams are... Oof, yeah, beams. Yeah, that's... are there any beams? I need to check later. I think only the really insanely cracked beams are higher than this tier, otherwise they're just down here. Because the fact that the flagship has, not only does it have shield recharge booster, but it also has an MFK manning shields. Their shields are going to be back up very quickly, so it's very hard to deal damage, the full damage of beams, unless the beam itself has some shield pierce. And all the beams with shield pierce also suck at efficiency, like um, Pierce beam, I don't even know how to pronounce that, Divider as well, Torch and Flamberge fall under the Cool Kill category. Eradicators, too slow, too power hungry. Like, yes, Eradicator 3 does technically one-shot artilleries, but you have to wait for it for so long that by that point the flagship's already fired twice at you, and you'll be lucky if your shield breakers don't go down by then. Adaptive beams are like the worst of both worlds, so let's move on. Even Ultimate Bomb, like some of the other bombs are okay for anti-boarding, True Capturing is not gonna do anything against MFK aces. Firebomb's Crew Killing, that's bad. Elemental Flags are bad, but efficiency all around, 3 power 4 shots and 3 power 3 shots, not it. Recycle Attack, at this point, ammunition is not an issue, so it's mostly just about efficiency. And because Recycle weapons sacrifice a lot of efficiency in exchange for being able to fire without ammo, they are just bad in true ending. So we've got the Recycle Mine Launcher, the Recycle Bomb, and Vines here because there's no reason to use Vines over any other Mine Launcher. Rito's not good enough. I was tempted to put Rito a bit higher, but 1 power 1 damage is not gonna cut it. This is 2 power 1 damage, so it's even worse. And the slow projectile speed means it can get blocked by shield. Pierce Max got horrible efficiency. Ion Beam, about that. These modules are those that either make it counterintuitive to what you want to be doing, or they just don't provide enough value to justify using them over some of the other modules. So Harbuster, like, you don't want to be shooting at empty rooms if you have a that weapon. You want to be actually damaging enemies. Leave power damage for something else. And I say that because there are weapons that deal good damage, good home damage, while also dealing good system damage. We don't have to create a situation where we spend at least 2 power shooting an empty room. That's the problem we have with it. Power module typically makes the efficiency quite dubious, I would say. Rad module's obviously garbage. Pierce has no synergy with the actually decent damage dealers that require shields to be down. Like, it's got terrible synergy with heavy lasers, for example, so not sure why we want to use that. Neural laser, I don't think it's even as effective here because typically lockdown would just be better than neural in most cases. Sentries, like the only sentry that is not off here is neural sentry, the one that keeps enemies out of rooms, because that one actually is by far the best sentry for actually stalling the flagship. Like, you can shoot it into teleporter, you can shoot it into a burning artillery room. Even then, the use case is quite limited, but at least it's better than these other ones. Old weapons, total garbage. Plushie is plushie. Pro Hull Beam is like trolling. Projector, the clones from the projector don't tank enough. It will not help you against the MFKs at all. It dies in like 3 shots. Ra, Mine Launcher, I think a bunch of the other Mine Launchers are up there because they can Hull Rush, or well, not Hull Rush, but they can solve your Hull damage issue. But Ra takes too much power to do that. If you use 3 payloads and Gap, which is the 2 power 3 shot Mine Launcher, you should be okay, considering you can tack on with a combat drone or something else. But Ra means you have to lose 2 payloads, it's too much. Particle guns and colliders, they require all shields to be down, same with Magma, so it's hard to create that situation where you have a perfect shot unless you use something like Chaotic Slug Gun. In that case, it's Chaotic Slug Gun carrying you, not particle guns. Also, they have radius, even worse. 3 Torch, it's gonna get put out instantly. Don't even try. Or if you put it in a 1x2, it's just not gonna burn fast enough to justify a whole weapon slot. Salt launcher, bad efficiency, requires shields to be down. Toxic pod launcher is one of the worst in terms of efficiency. Deployment bomb, you can't even call it niche because if you're getting hit, something's already gonna go wrong. That's the thing about this flagship fight. It throws so much damage at you if you happen to take damage that two repair drones is not gonna cut it. You need to stop taking damage in the first place, not counter it. This is different from Sector 2 Renegades, for example. And these are the two arguably worst weapons you could use against the flagship. Like, yeah, it's like, no, even Toxic Pod Launcher, it does system damage. Deployment Bomb, it can help you repair. These two are probably objectively the worst weapons. The absolute worst weapons for the MFK flagship. So hats off to you if you beat the flagship with this. Is the... Oh, this thing wasn't low enough. Okay. There we go, it's now on the stream. Yeah, the bottom two weapons, Gasoline Bomb and Flash. I hope that's not a surprise. But yeah, that's a quick run, semi-quick run through the F tier. Let me catch my breath for a moment, and then we'll move on to the niche tier. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I did put Tesla in the niche tier because technically, it's okay. Okay, I mean, yeah, since I'm talking about that, let's just have a look at the niche tier right now. On. Cool. Okay, good enough. Okay. Niche, Tesla. I was tempted to put this in F tier. I feel like some people would agree, some people would not agree and think that it's better than niche. Like, the problem with Tesla is that, okay, one thing, ion stacking is horrible against the MFK flagship, so that's already one of the better things about it gone. The only reason I think I put this up here is because it has a very clean strike through... I have the game up. It has a very clean strike through cloaking. I think it hit two artilleries, cloak, and drones. So like it has pretty decent swipes on the MK flagship. That's the only reason I put it up here. But it's very dubious as well because you're swiping it to temporarily disable those systems, and you're not dealing any hull damage, any system damage. So it's honestly quite dubious. I wouldn't blame if you put this in F tier. I can honestly see that. Yeah. Yeah, true ending is way too missile meta to justify ions. Okay, Epimetheus, like, it's decent, but the problem with Epimetheus is more so the fact that it's almost unusable on anything other than 4 weapon slot ships. If you use this on, I don't know, 2 weapon slot ships, you have 2 weapon slots to handle the rest of the fight with. So it's a nice boost. Yes, it does force damage, which is the magic number. Like it can instantly turn off an artillery. Great, but it takes up a weapon slot for the rest of the fight, and it does mess up the holy combo of like 3 payloads and 1 onslaught. So it's quite questionable. I put it in niche because it can be used on some 4 weapon slot ships, but you'd honestly just rather go with 3 payloads and an onslaught. Royal Plasma is only up here because as far as I remember, the stats are very, very inflated on this one. So just for that reason, it's not objectively that bad. Same with Royal Eradicator. At least it has fire damage this time, so even if the enemy regenerates 1 shield layer, you can knock off 2 artilleries and cloak at the same time. So fair enough, it's just horribly slow, so we can't really consider it being meta. Bao could be really good at removing shields relatively quickly. I thought about that, but let me get to that when I reach the end of the niche tier. We're starting from the bottom up. Repair Bomb, it's the same thing as Deployment Bomb, where you don't actually want to be taking damage in the first place, but this is a much faster instant repair option, so And also, it can't be destroyed by the MFKs. Like, if the MFKs drop into your weapon system, the repair drones are going to get shredded instantly. At least repair bomb helps it, keeps it up, so your crew can maybe go heal, stand out for a bit, swap in, swap out. It's just better than deployment bomb. Still would not recommend using it. 4 suffers from the same issue as Epimetheus. It's terrible on anything other than 4 weapon slot ships, and the higher power weapons are not that great unless it's like extremely overtuned. In that case, you didn't need core anyways. That weapon would have won you the run by itself. And again, messes up the triple payload 1 onslaught combo. Reflag, same issue, occupies a weapon slot. Now then, there's these group of weapons which are like the quote-unquote anti-boarding weapons. Now, you may have noticed Rat Bomb actually ended up in a tier higher than that because I do consider the MFK flagship boarding to be that dangerous that I would genuinely be okay if you put a Rat Bomb in your build. Like, I could imagine someone going 3 payloads of Rat Bomb and then just have combat drones for hull damage. I think that's honestly valid if your anti-boarding is very weak. But then, okay, enough about Rat Bomb, that's like a tier higher. These ones are a bit more niche because they don't just solve the borders for you instantly, like, they're a bit more conditional. So you can turn the MFKs into mutants, which make them a bit weaker. You can mind control them, you can heal your crew, you can promote your crew, but these ones, they require your own crew to be like decent. You can't just if your ship is full of NGs, the Rat Bomb will solve your anti-boarding problems, but your ship full of NGs will not be able to win with one of these, so Rat Bomb's a bit higher for that reason. Pacifier just requires micro in a messy fight. As I said, this is a no pause tier list. On a pause tier list, maybe this will be like in the same tier as Rat Bomb. Hang on, I should really disable the game overlay. Otherwise you all can't see like half of the niche tier. There we go. Stim Bomb is, I guess, the best out of these because it just straight up doubles damage, but yeah, still can't win with NGs, by the way. Lockdown Module, as I've said, a bit better than Neuro, still not the greatest because usually you lock someone in there and the MFK can still repair pretty quickly. Neuro, I talked about that previously already. Stun Bomb, it's 2 power. Yes, it does disable an artillery or any system very well, but it's 2 power for no hull or system damage. That's a pretty big ask. And then we've got a bunch of mine launchers here. These are all, I would say, fairly decent for just being an alternative to Onslaught if you didn't have to get Onslaught. Otherwise, I just recommend using Onslaught all the way. Same category, by the way, here. Yep, all these mine launchers. If you kill an MFK that's turned into a mutant in a system room, that room could take system damage. Yeah, that's true. It's one of the reasons why I say it's one of the worst niche weapons. Like, it has drawbacks. It's quite conditional. It can help. It's like not, how should I say? It can help. It's a situation where it can help. It's not like projector, where projectors close just get shredded in 3 seconds anyway, so it's not gonna do anything. Mutant has situations where it can help, but it's far less versatile than Rat Bomb, for instance. Mutant Bomb is free cooking for the transport. Oh, that's actually true. Yeah, okay, there we go. We've got another use case for Mutant Bomb. Maybe I should move it up to D tier now. Where were we? Lockdown Bomb. It's fast. It goes to shields. It locks down. So it barely makes its way into the niche category, like ahead of Rito, because Rito doesn't lock down rooms and can't go through the super shield. Like, if you have Highlight Bypass, this thing can already start whacking the enemy cloak, so that's nice, I guess, but it's still not efficient enough to justify going higher. MFK flagship almost F. Honestly, I can see that. Yeah, quite dubious. Yeah, honestly, just probably the worst out of these niche, quote-unquote niche, anti-boarding guns. If you put it in the F tier, I don't mind. I think that's valid. Heavy 3 overkill example. 3 power, 4 damage. It's not the worst. Like, Purifier 2, but we've got better alternatives for that. The golden flag guns, they are technically quite shot efficient. It's just that they're horribly slow, which is for the only reason they're down here. Fire starter is dubious. Now, I know I put the other 2-power 2-shot lasers in the F tier. This one starts fires, which is definitely the most important effect, and it's guaranteed fires. So I would say there's definitely a bit more of an argument to be made about using this in a dire situation compared to using the other 2-power 2-shot lasers. But still, I would say it's niche. Particle missile overkill, obsidian overkill, solar kernels not efficient enough, chain kernels take too long to spin up, but technically not the worst. Like, you can protect yourself, you can have only 3 power, and then these things will still keep firing, yes and yes. But if you can protect yourself for that long, I recommend just using something else. You would have won the fight at that point. Never miss, not efficient enough, 3 power 3 damage unless you're shooting at empty rooms. This is the same issue I mentioned, like with the HAL module for Hacktile weapons. You don't really want to be shooting at empty rooms. You want to be shooting at system rooms, and then in that case, it's just non-efficient. Syncadia. I think this used to be C tier before they nerfed the cooldown. Now it doesn't just instantly win you the fight if you can protect it enough. You do need to protect it for a little bit longer, and for that reason, I think there are just better alternatives. If you can keep Syncadia protected for that long, the other weapons above would have already kept you safer by that point. We've got these 4 weapons next are kind of the same story. They're all very fast suppression weapons, like to compact assembly cannon. The assembly cannon, the drone part cost is not that big of an issue because it's so late in the game. You have too much scrap anyway, so you can afford to spam these. But shield suppression is a very niche way of defeating the flagship, which is why it fits perfectly into this category actually. It ties in with Chaotic Toxic Pod Launcher, where the efficiency is actually good enough to justify using, but Toxic Pod Launcher, the chaotic version, it does need heavy shield suppression, or for the enemy shields to be consistently 2 or less. Otherwise, you don't get any value from the low cooldown. So yeah, these kind of go hand in hand. They're just a very niche way of defeating the flagship, not the safest at all. Is Overwatcher defense drone good for MFK flagship? Nope, and yes, it can't kill drones. Exactly, if it can hit drones. And this is the reason why I say, even if you gave me a royal Overwatcher, I don't think I care. I would rather just get the I'd rather get Guardian drone, or okay, Trinity is objectively the best. Guardian 2 is probably the next best if you exclude Symbion. This anti-drone is that important. And one more thing about Overwatcher, it has that, it's not exempt from the defense drone issue of just staring at shots. It can get shut down, so you can't just rely on that solely for your defense. Also, it costs a lot of power, so beautiful tough ask if you ask me. Boy, Overwatcher, yeah, 5 power requirement is very sketchy. Strange to see the inferior. Oh, I see. Oh, whoops. Okay. Yeah. I get what you mean. Like, obviously the inferior one is just straight up worse, but I didn't find the normal, well, the chaotic one to be good enough to put higher than niche anyways. So again, we got to think about the fact that not only does it require shields to be down, it only does system damage. For a weapon to have, for a weapon to require shields to be down and only deal system damage, that's a heavy ask for 2 power. It's not even like what's the other gun? Kaiser. Kaiser actually better in a sense, because if it hits, the system stays down for quite a while. Not the case with Sears. So that's why. Defense Scrambler, yeah. Oh no, I agree it's way better, but neither of them are making out the niche tier. I just, like, one thing I need to mention, just as a reminder, these weapons are not ranked in order of how good they are within the tier itself. Most of these I just grouped together by how similar they are, so I don't have to repeat the same talking points over and over again. I can just point at a whole group of weapons and say the same characteristic applies to all of these four. That's the idea. So yeah, sometimes I'll put a root weapon below the non-root weapon. Don't worry about that. The root weapon is obviously better than the non-root weapon. It's just I put them together to explain them together. So if you wanna, yeah, if you wanna get technical, this is probably like down here, borderline F tier, and then Sears is around there. Okay, sustaining bomb, big suck bomb, chaotic big suck bomb, too slow or too niche. Well, these two are too niche. This is too slow. Bow. Okay. Let's talk about Bow mine launcher since you asked about that earlier. Actually, hang on, I think I can pull up the game just so we remind ourselves of its stats. Restart. Cool. Okay, here we go. So, Bow mine launcher. 3 power, 9 seconds. Okay, granted, maybe 7.2 seconds if you're manning. No, rather 6 and 2/3 seconds to charge because of all the internal upgrades and whatnot. So, 3 power, 3 shots in about 6 to 7 seconds. Here's all shields. It has short radius. So, on paper, I know this sounds like a very good shield. Sorry. Good point. Damn, I gotta remember to just turn the game on. There we go. Okay. Now my launcher. Here we go. 3 power, 3 shots, 1 iron damage each. And notice, I mentioned this before with some of the other weapons, but for something to cost a lot of power and not deal system damage or hull damage, it is a very... it's a hard ask. That's why I always say about these weapons. Like, it's gotta be so super strong in the ion department that it justifies not having system damage or hull damage. Bow, okay, 3 power, and I'll mention this again with Carnage. 3 power is not a good power to have in terms of a weapon because that breaks the combo of being able to stack payloads and an onslaught. That's one of my biggest issues with it. So, you take long shields. Yes. How long does it take you? Now, if we keep this at shields, like each volley does 6 ions, so with 6 ion in 2 volleys you deal 12 ion damage to shield. So in about 2 volleys you can take down shield. Fair enough. However, that does leave a couple of things. Question. First of all, you are still getting pelted in the meantime. This is one of the reasons why I just say ions across the board are just bad because they have to take time to spin up. And I know Bao's a lot faster than that, which is why it's in the upper end of the niche. If you get a good shot, you can remove 3 rays in quick time. Yes. But, hear me out on this. You can remove 3 shield layers. Yes. And that leaves you with 5 weapon power to deal damage. That's fine, but first of all, we've got a bunch of assumptions here. First of all, the overcharger drone is still doing its thing. If one of your shots gets tanked by the overcharger, you're just 1 shield layer will be up, so the rest of your shots are less efficient. 2, assuming all shots hit, and MFK flagship has MFK manning, piloting, and engine, so evasion's just even higher than normal ships. Thirdly, radius, 45 pixel radius can miss 2x2 rooms. 4th, you are getting pelted. 5, you're getting boarded. That means you just can't do damage until you wait for Bao to knock down everything. I think there's just too many like conditions. I can see it's kind of like Syncadia. It can be very, very good, but there are just too many conditions surrounding it that demand how should I say it? There's too many conditions that are required for it to line up to be that good. Could be really good with Jones, especially Harbinger 1 or 2. Like, yes, it can, but we need, yeah, the rest of it needs to be system damage. I see what you mean. There was a reason. I thought about this quite a bit. Like, and there was a reason why I put it in niche and not higher. How should I put this? I guess the best way to word this is I just think Bao, for the time we have to wait, for the accuracy we have to hope for it to hit, I think just most of the other weapons will do it better. Most of the other weapons above. That's mostly my. That's what I was thinking. It's like when I compared Bao against most of the other weapons up high, I would imagine the other weapons higher. They're just a bit more flexible, a bit less condition dependent in a sense. Oh yeah. You can use it with royal plasma, I guess. But then that brings the question of if you use that with royal plasma, then you have three weapon power left. So three weapon power to deal decent power damage and system damage as well. Because I mean, yes, you have royal plasma to deal system damage, but you're packing all of that into one shot, which can just miss. Which is another reason why actually you see Zen raise is quite low as well because of the whole accuracy issue. One payload, one Artemis. Wait, no, if you're using one payload, one Artemis, then why are you knocking down shields in the first place? Yeah. I guess to sum up my thoughts on Bao, I feel like there's just like most iron weapons, there are too many conditions for that it needs to meet in order to produce the optimal effect. Then again, I would say it's far better than most ions because it can reach that optimal effect with significantly fewer conditions than the other standard ion weapons. So for that reason, it's definitely like it's usable. I'm not gonna say it's FTL garbage or something. I just do think that okay, I wouldn't say payload because payload obviously just claps everything, so that's another topic. But I think I would rather use just laser builds, just actually get it done quick instead of just hoping and praying that this thing hits. Because with normal laser and flak builds, they shoot enough projectiles, or at least you should be shooting enough projectiles that you can afford a couple of misses here, a couple of accuracy issues here and there, and you can still deal the system damage you need to. Cherry cookie? Hmm. Val and Tesla. Uh, kind of. Hmm. Yeah, okay. You know what? I think maybe not niche. Because my thought process is being that it's just something I would not use over the others. I think that means it's not like niche. Maybe we just bump it up. Like the- it still has those issues of inaccuracy, this inaccuracy that you gotta wait for it and all that. So yeah. one fat pot filling up this DPS until you get shields down. That's crazy. Yeah. No, I hope you understand where I'm coming from, though. It's just I haven't really thought of a case where I would want to use bow. Because put it this way, if I go a laser build, if I go something that requires me to get through shields and not just bypass shields altogether, I think they're just more efficient options. Hmm. I don't know. Okay, we'll come back to this. Maybe, mm, maybe C tier, depending on how the rest of the video works out. Yeah, we'll keep going to this. No promises. Maybe C tier. We'll see. Okay, but yeah, talk about the D tier. Fire starter module is okay. Not gonna say it's broken, it's because it's definitely not broken, but it's probably the most versatile. Oh, well, sorry, second most versatile um modular module, the yellow module here. Weapon and subtractor I mentioned just now. You can use them to uh you can use them to actually just delete the borders, which is a lot better than the other bombs. Now, promotion bomb, you put promotion bomb up here, the chaotic one, because it's it's a bit illegal to put it up here because technically the reason why I put it up here is because you don't have to use it in the fight. You can get the full benefits of it just by bombing your crew before the fight. So at the point I'm wondering, is this technically legal? Because am I ranking the weapon based off using it in fight or based off just utility? Because utility wise, this I would justify this in the D tier, but otherwise it's technically illegal to say it's up here, but I'm not actually using it in the fight. So yeah, basically every single weapon. The only weapons I didn't rank would be God Killer and the Symbiote, which is technically not even a weapon. Charge 1 is quite surprised to see indeed. Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. It's a lot of lasers here. Yeah. Accuracy of scatter is the main reason why it's bad. Yes, that is true. Normal crystal 1 is D tier. Early crystal scatter is F. Okay, yeah, I think I see a lot of this right now. Okay, let's just get into that. So a lot of these 1 power 2 shot lasers, these are technically they are shot efficient, but they are not slot efficient. I think I mentioned this in one of the previous streams. Slot efficient means how many shots per power. Slot efficient means how much damage per weapon slot. And unfortunately, these are just not very slot efficient. Early game, slot efficiency is a lot more important for low power weapons. Late game, you can afford to have some higher power weapons if they get the job done. Like Heavy 2, costing 2 power, is not that great. Oh, okay, hang on. Not that great is a bad word to say. Heavy Laser 2 costing 2 power in the early game makes it a bit more risky, a bit more likely to get taken offline than something like a Burst Laser 1. That's not really the case here. Yes, it still takes more power, but in exchange for being able to damage, for being able to disable an artillery for using 1 weapon slot, that makes it much better. Yeah, so while these are all pretty shot efficient, they are in D tier because of the whole PE favors ballistics issue, whereby lasers are just not great because you have to go through the 12-point super shield, you have to go through 6 layers of normal super shield, you have to go through an overcharger, you have to go through 2 charge booster and an MFK manning shield, and you have to get through, I think it's 30% evasion when there's an MFK on piloting and engines. So it's a lot to get through. You need a significant amount of projectiles, at least 8, I would say, at least 8 shield breaking projectiles to break enough shields for the rest of your shots to be able to get through and start dealing actual system and hull damage. And that's the issue, because not many things have that meet that 8 projectile requirement. Some do, which you'll see a lot higher, because they obviously have plenty of projectiles to get through. But yeah, and about crystal weapons in Crystal One in detail, while Crystal Scatter is in FTL. Yes, it is because of the primarily because of accuracy, but also because of power and efficiency issue. Scatter flag, no, sorry, Crystal Scatter is like 3 power 4 shots, and you can't even aim it. So I mean, yes, it does 4 damage, but there's no point in dealing 4 damage if the radius is so massive. You're probably gonna miss them 1 by 2 anyways. Like at most two shots will hit. If you get all four if all 4 shots of Crystal Scatter hit a 1 by 2 artillery system, you just got lucky. Whereas on the other hand, if you use this, you can actually, aim a lot better than a Crystal Scatter. And one thing about the 1 power 2 damage weapons, you can take off cloaking with that. So that's just an underrated, kind of underrated thing about them. Like they're not exactly at the 4 power magic number, num four sorry 4 damage magic number threshold, but 2 damage is it's okay. It's good enough to slow down the boarding. It's good enough to slow down the cloning. And the most important thing is definitely the fact that it just wipes out their cloaking altogether. Though even though the elite crystal weapons are just better than the normal crystal weapons, I don't think they're good enough to justify being placed higher, right? And just another point in favor is that if you want to, you can use these to break shields, and then let stuff like heavy laser to get through. So they're okay, but of course they're detailed because they're not missiles, and we want to use all the ballistics we can. I mean that basically sums up like most of this tier, honestly, like all the way from charge 2 to like Dirk, I think. Yeah, like basically this whole section, charge 2 to Dirk, you can just that's the roughly the explanation I would give. A chaotic blaster. I think I should put this in niche. Hang on, no, yeah, I should put this in niche. Well, I don't know why I put this up higher. Yeah, chaotic blaster goes down into niche because the normal blaster is actually a lot better because it deals 2 damage at once. The fact that this deals only 1 damage is a very big downgrade in my opinion. One of the only chaotic weapons to be like, I would say, a considerable downgrade in any stage of the game. The fact that it charges instantly means absolutely nothing when the flagship has so many shields and you need to break shields to get through in the first place. So, yep, down it goes. Let's see. Chain flag. Okay, I know I said chain weapons are dubious, but these ones are very honestly chain anti-hull is like very close to being put in a niche tier. It's more so the fact that chain burst being 15 seconds is not even that bad. Most of the late game weapons you have to wait 15 seconds anyways, so it actually doesn't change all that much. Um, same with chain flag. It's yeah, chain flag and chain anti-hull. I should say these two are very very close to being demoted. If you put them in niche or even F, I don't mind honestly these two. I do think these chain burst is not that slow to be honest. When you consider that you have to wait for the bigger shield breakers to fire anyways. Loot chain flag, it ramps up decently quickly, so we'll let it slide. I think Adder's one of the only adaptive weapons up here, just for the fact that it actually turns into a heavy laser 2 after the first volley. Still, it is quite questionable because, as we've mentioned, the early hits matter a lot. But what you can do, you can use this on the flagship's cloaking at the start, and then switch over and use it on artilleries after the first volley. So you have some flexibility there. Sustaining bomb is too slow, but the chaos weapon at least gives the chaos variant. Yeah, the chaos variant at least gives you 1 power, which is nice, I guess. Um, explained all these already. Havoc Kaiser, the normal Havoc Kaiser, the ancient one, not the royal one. 2 power for 2 damage. And I did mention that it does shut the system down very well because of all the guaranteed status effects. But it is still 2 power for no hull damage, and at most 2 damage to one system at a time. That's kind of my main issue with it. It's still fine. It's not competitive with the other things up top. Harbingers are basically the same category here. Harbinger 2 sneaked by the F tier because it has an extra projectile, making it objectively better than Burst Laser 3. Toggle Flag, now these ones are kind of like, they fire enough projectiles to actually walk shields all the way down, so, but they're slow and they cost a lot of power, which means they're just not as good as the very best shield breakers, so they're down here. You say Burst 2 is niche compared to everything else? I can't see that. Like, I think Light Burst 2 and Old Burst 2, they are here for the shield breaking. So yes, you would say that the other Burst Laser 2 variants, they are just more flexible because you can use them to damage systems as well. You use it only for shield breaking. That does classify it as niche. Honestly, no, I think it might be right. If a weapon's only good for shield breaking and nothing else, I think that means it's D tier. Sorry, it's niche tier. Like, I will keep the toggle flag and flag 4 up here because they can still deal damage beyond the shield breaking. Also, the fact that the projectiles all come right at once, which means it's a lot easier to time your shots. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Light Burst 2 and Mod. Sorry, not Mod Laser, damn it. Old Burst Laser 2 in niche. Top of niche. They are still some of the most efficient shield breakers, especially Light Burst 2. So yeah. Where were we here? Stiletto. Okay, Stiletto. 3 power 4 damage is not a good ratio, but it's guaranteed. So, and it has that magic number 4, which is why it's okay. Purifier, same thing, though it's definitely got better margin of error compared to Stiletto. So it's up here again. But just a reminder, I'm not saying this is just barely better. I'm just putting them here so I can explain them together at the same time. Amber, 3 power 4 damage. Even though it can miss, it has that bonus side effect of just locking the room down and setting it on fire, so it's in that ballpark as well. Battery beams, the issue is that, again, pretty unusable on any ship that does not have 4 weapon slots. Even on ships with 4 weapon slots, the weapon itself, like the beam itself, is just really bad. So you actually only use it if you want to use some high power weapons. Otherwise, no point. Matchbox is straight up burst 2 with 100% fire chart. Yeah, Matchbox is like these two, Matchbox and Uplifter burst 2, far better than the other 2 burst laser 2 variants. I just don't think it's good enough to put into the C tier. Because one thing about 1x2 artillery rooms is that MFKs can put a 2-tower fire out very easily. They do not take a lot of fire damage. So it would be different if the artillery rooms are 2x2 rooms, in which case, yes, I agree, Matchbox would probably be C tier, same with Up the Burst 2. But MFKs can put a 2-tower fire out. That's why I have it down here. Oh, also that, 80% fire chance. Stiletto outclassed by Purifier. Also true, yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. Then it turned into an event weapon because it's too broken. Momus is the only recycle weapon up here because it actually deals hull damage on top of system damage. So it's passable. It's definitely one of the worst missiles still, just for the fact that it can only be shot so many times and it's slower. But it does do 2 damage to all shields. Therefore, it's okay. Wouldn't that make Kura's power core be in the same tier as battery beam? Since the thing is, with one stipulation, the beam actually is, you can save the beam to knock down the super shield. Imagine a case where you have like Danesh, Obsidian, and something else. I don't know why you would have such heavy power weapons, but yeah, imagine a case if you have a heavy ballistic build, at least the beam can have you counter the overcharger drone. That's my justification for putting it above power core. Power core just sits there and acts fancy. It does literally can't be used for any offensive measure. So almost useless, not quite totally useless. That's how you can think about it. Next, not good efficiency. Same with Hades. Why are these separated? Okay, hang on. Bayach is down here. Let's just put these all together. Next, Hades, not good efficiency. Nightshade's got accuracy issues. Same with both Pharaohs, honestly. No, this Pharaoh just takes too long and overkills for 4 power. This Pharaoh has accuracy issues. I think that's, yeah, the chaotic one, I'm pretty sure is the one with the accuracy issue. Because it turns it from a single projectile into like 12 projectiles or something crazy. It also takes too long. Jones do that too. Yes, Jones do that too, but it's an added functionality. Otherwise, if we just say Jones do that too, I would just take off every single weapon that can like remove super shields to the niche or F tier. So optimally, you wanna be able to use one combat drone and one anti-drone. But I can't give everything optimal conditions, otherwise like SyncADL would be A tier. It's more so how good are these weapons at functioning without optimal conditions? That's what I'm trying to think of, in a sense. So, like, you can just think of this. Battery beam, it kind of accounts for the situation where you couldn't get a combat drone. Or you just don't have a drone system. Like, if you're on Technician B, for example, you're gonna buy cloaking and you're not gonna buy drones. So in that case, you know, battery beam is just better. Because you can say drones solve an issue, but what if you don't have drones? Then we have something to compare off. And I guess this is a pretty strange topic to discuss, because at some point we can't just say every single weapon has to be self-sufficient. We gotta like combo with what we have. But objectively speaking, battery beam is useful in at least one more situation than power core. That's how I would think about it. Like, no matter how you look at it, when we consider every situation, battery beam has this one issue. It's technically a bit better than the core app. Also, it can do a bit of damage if you happen to be running a shield breaker build. So yeah, not by much. Again, it's still D tier. It's not amazing by any means. It's just, I do think it's objectively better than power core for sitting there and doing nothing. Okay, where are we? Spore launchers, 2 power 3 shots, 2 power 3 damage. Yes, it goes through all shields. It doesn't do hull damage. That's like 2 power and doesn't do hull damage, and only does 3 system damage. That's like, doesn't hit the magic number, doesn't do hull damage. It's a bit of a hard ask. And the replication chance not really an issue here. Sorry, not really a big benefit here, because of the whole, we're in the late game, ammunition isn't that big of a deal anymore. Same with recycle bomb, though I think the Mantis Root recycle bomb actually has insane stats, like a lot faster cooldown, significantly more shots to use. So I think for that reason it's actually decent. I think the only weapon I haven't talked about is Bayach Beam. It's purely the cooldown. I know 1 power 4 damage beam it sounds crazy, but it's the cooldown, dude. It's 30 seconds cooldown. That's 2 cloak cycles, and the flagships by that point, the flagships fired its artillery 3 times at you, along with a power surge. I think Bayage Beam had like 30-second cooldown. I think they forgot to buff it. Wait, did they? Let me check. I genuinely forgot what Bayage Beam's cooldown was. It used to be 30 seconds. I forgot if they buffed it to 25 seconds. Oh, they did. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, 25 seconds, it's still a very, very long time, which is why the other beams ended up down there. But because they are just so efficient, it's actually okay. I mean, if you want to put this in C tier, I can see that. I can see that. Because it is, technically, it is one of those weapons which is like, the only reason you run a laser build is because you have something so efficient that it justifies the case. And Bayage Beam does fall under that category, though it's one of the worst for that because it has that very, very long cooldown attached to it and it doesn't completely knock artilleries. But 1 power. So, good. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to put this in C tier, I can see it. It's just that 25 seconds is a very big ask for me. 30 seconds, I'll probably put it in niche, to be honest, but it got buffed, so yeah. Yeah. With 25 seconds, you can fire most quick weapons twice. And not even just that. It's also the fact that if you fire a weapon in, like, let's take Flag 4 for example. It's not even a fast weapons. It's quite slow at 17 seconds. But that's still 8 seconds faster than Bayage Beam. So you are getting your shot and you're getting your damage in 8 seconds faster. That 8 seconds is a big deal. Like, the flagship probably fires 1 less wave of artilleries at you, which is in itself already very big if you're like spiraling and trying to control all that. So yeah. Okay, I think that's all the D tier. C tier, let's go. Accuracy module, I would consider to be the best standard module, just because the if you miss shots against the MFK flagship, it is very sketchy. So being able to guarantee your shots hit is honestly pretty nice. Pre-ion, same issue. It's like same issue as the other 0 power weapons. For being able to be used only once per fight, it's still good, don't get me wrong, but it needs to do more for the fact that I can only use it once a fight. Chaotic Gungnir? Oh, this is the standard version. I put Chaotic Gungnir. I think I put Chaotic Gungnir in the... Wait, did I? No, I didn't. Okay. Wait, would I put it? Am I per height? Yeah, there we go. It's pinpoint and 11 seconds hack, but I just can't find... Oh, sorry. No, I put normal Gungnir in D tier and the Chaotic Gungnir in C tier. Right, okay. Wait, no, hang on. I think it's the other way around. Am I tripping? Oh, no, I'm not. No, yes, I meant to put Chaotic Gungnir higher. Okay, sorry. I got confused for a second. No, it definitely isn't an F. It's definitely got some use cases, way more than the F tier. The sprite just looks a bit too similar for me, so I got confused which one I put for a second. No, okay, Chaotic Gungnir is in C tier and normal Gungnir is in D tier. Right. Okay, since we're on that topic, normal Gungnir is in D tier because yes, it does hull damage, yes, it packs. It doesn't really do system damage though, and for 3 power, that's kind of a lot. You can like stop them from shooting at you for a bit, like you can hit the 2 artilleries at once and Yeah, they stopped shooting you for a bit, but um, but after that, the artillery is still there after 6 seconds. So, and you can't, if you time your shots so that your hacking gets the most effect gets the most effective use by like hacking before they're gonna fire when there's charge in the artillery, you're slowing your volley down even more. So it's quite conditional to get the hack set up correctly. But chaotic gunner, 11 seconds hack, you can do something with that. Like that's actually I wouldn't really use it on artilleries, I don't think. It's more so you can use it on shield, and this is probably the best shield suppressor you have. Just an 11-second hack onto shield, at which point the chaotic gunner will be ready again. So if you can break shields for it once, shield probably stays down the entire fight. That's why I put chaotic gunner higher. Oh yeah, back to C tier, bottom C tiers. Blaster beam. While I say zero power weapons are not good, the fact that this deals 2 damage and can be used twice, that's our magic number. Swiping the same that stretch twice, I used it for on the MFK flagship. You can hit the iron artillery, the laser artillery, and cloak. You swipe it twice, and then you just take out all of that with zero power. So it's one of the few zero power weapons that's actually justified. The only problem is that it does require shields to be down. But it's not totally useless if you are using ballistics, because you can use it as a way to remove super shields at the start of fight, right? So it's got a bit of use case for ballistic builds, and it can be useful for shield breaker builds. Great. Oh, greater than, yes. Oh yeah, greater than is pretty good, to be honest. In a standard ending, I think most missiles are. But yeah, no, it's got pretty good stats, I'm pretty sure. Zenith Laser. It meets our magic number 4, however, it's all bundled in a single projectile that does not have accuracy. That's the issue. If this misses, you're gonna be in a world of pain if you're banking on this hitting like an artillery room. But you don't even have time to backtrack and say, okay, let me shoot Zenith first. If it hits, great. If it misses, don't worry, I'll follow up with something else. By the time Zenith flies and misses, the flagship has already regenerated 1 shield layer. So if you wait for Zenith to see whether it hits or misses, at that point you need to invest even more to compensate for the mistake. So just the fact that it's all power tied into one shot makes it a bit dubious, I have to say. Zenith has minus 100% accuracy, so real. Same story with Elite Crystal Heavy too, except while it does take 1 more power, it does do lockdown and pierces 2 shields. The fact that it pierces 2 shields means that if your shots got unlucky and you missed a bunch of shots, you can still break through 2 shields, so there's that. Heavy 2, Root Heavy 2, 2 power, 4 damage in a pretty fast type. Great, however, you still got to knock all shields down for that, which is why it's not any higher. This serious beam, the only one I would consider remotely viable, because it pierces a lot more shield, so you have a lot more leeway. But most importantly, it actually stops repair. So if I'm not mistaken, if you hit this with if you hit a crew with this, I think they don't send any more crew, or either that or they just sit in the room and they just occupy it. They don't allow for more crew to come in. So it's kind of like a stalling plus system damage at the same time. So yeah, in that sense, I would say it's pretty decent. Vedwood Heavy 2 would be amazing if you had 2 of them, Jones and Gumtree hacking. Yeah, yeah. Like, I know we can make the argument about the other laser weapons, but Heavy 2 is one of the most efficient weapons in normal runs. And for good reason, like 2 power 4 damage in 13 seconds is that's almost like a root weapon. That's level root 2 levels of efficiency. Root charge 2. Yeah. Yeah. So keep that in mind. Like, yes, we can say that's true for a lot of weapons, but it is also true that heavy 2 is just generally very, very efficient. It also just means that magic number of 4 damage. So yeah, it's in C tier. Um Kernels. Yes, so these are up here. I know I said the spore launches are slow, but the kernel launches compensate by also having hull damage. So the hull damage is like between something that does only system damage and something that does system and hull damage. I want the hull damage option every single time against the MPK fraction. That's why kernel 2 is just straight up better than spore 2. I mean, you could say Spore 2 goes to Super Shields, but you gotta knock down the Super Shields to deal hull damage anyways, so it's like, there's that. Spore 1. Okay, this whole section, there's a bunch of 1 power iron bombs, a separate case, we'll talk about it later. 1 power 2 damage bombs. It falls under the same issue as Burst Laser 1, whereby it's not it is power efficient, it is not slot efficient. However, it goes through all shields, therefore it is already just a lot better than Burst 1. You do not have to um, force it into a shield breaking build. You can just slot this onto a ballistic build. Let's say you have an Ares and a Dinesh as your 2 primary missiles. You can just throw on a bomb launcher, you can throw on a Haish missile. It'll work out just fine. Iron Bomb, well, I do say having no hull or system damage is quite dubious. The fact that it disables and it has that magic number of 4 damage, albeit 4 ion damage for 1 power, with pretty much guaranteed accuracy, because like 30% accuracy basically counters the flagship's evasion without cloak. So it's a guaranteed 4 ion bomb. And that can be useful in some cases. If you have nothing better to score into that 1 power, iron bomb's fine, I would say. Oh yeah, true. Kernels and spore launches, replication, not a point. Not important at this point. The regular missiles will be better even though they cost a missile every single time because you have more than enough missiles. Um, Iron Bomb somehow has the same cooldown from vanilla but sees much more use. I think it's also the fact that it has 30% accuracy. Waiting 18 seconds for this bomb to miss, it's a terrible feeling. So giving it 30% accuracy, I think really gives it an opportunity to shine, even in the regular flagship ending. So, Charge Frost, very efficient shield breakers, but unfortunately they have this radius thing going for them, so it's not the most consistent. They're only good at shield breakers, but 2 power for 4 shots in 12 seconds is very good, so it will stay up here. Flag 3. Uh, I was... I love this weapon, but I was tempted to put it in D tier. 3 power 5 shots is an okay ratio. It's held up here by the fact that it's probably the fastest, decently efficient shield breaker. 13 seconds is a very fast cooldown. And yes, Bedazzler gets some respect here because just like most other resources, scrap is not that big of a deal. If you need a build to use Bedazzler, because Bedazzler's shot efficiency is really good if you can sustain the scrap gain, so the scrap tax, it's good. Because it's 2 power for 5 shots. Yes, the shots are randomized, but you can usually count on at least 4 of them breaking shields. So you can treat this as sort of a 2 power 4 shot shield breaker. And that's pretty decent. Sometimes you get a bonus of having it break 5 shields, and that's even better. Light Laser Charger. Now, this is actually the Chaos version, because the Chaos version costs 3 power and not 2 power. The normal version I actually put a bit higher because despite the cooldown difference, and the fact that the Chaos version shoots faster, I think the power difference is pretty significant. 3 power 5 shots basically brings it on par with Flag 3 for in terms of time, in terms of power to shot efficiency. The only thing is that chaotic light charger, it's got accuracy, but it doesn't do system damage, so it's kind of a trade-off. Yeah, Angry Snowman just gets shredded as well, so it's not really a big deal. Now, we have a whole bunch of missiles here. Notice how none of them actually meet the criteria for being 4 damage for 2 power. I know you're gonna say like stick power module onto mod missile, but then it's like 3 power for 4 damage. So 3 power 4 damage and doesn't have accuracy because you can't put accuracy and power module onto the same mod missile. Then it becomes quite dubious, I would say. Oh yeah, it's definitely better than nothing, but due to the short radius, I would just use Charge Frost for like breaking shields because of how fast it is at breaking shields. I wouldn't really aim to use it at systems, to be honest. That's my main gripe with it. Like, I definitely wouldn't be banking on Frost Charger to be hitting 1 or 2 artillery systems. So yeah, another case of like, I just put them next to each other to explain them together. Obviously this is worse than that, but they're probably the same tier. Yeah, I think that goes for most of the missiles here. 2 power, 3 damage. Oh, Percy's now, let me bring up the MFK flagship again, just so we can be reminded of its layout. Okay, now Percy's and the other shrapnel missiles, Themis, they are fairly decent because if you turn it into cloaking, not only do you take out cloaking, but you also damage the other 2 artilleries next to it. So it's fair enough. Damage to doors is okay, I guess. It mainly just drags one of their crew from doing other things, which is it's not a significant deal, but it's fine. It's mainly the fact that Themis and Percy's have very good hit targets here and here. So even though they don't have that magic number of 4 damage, they have very obvious good targets in a sense. Yeah, Chrome Bay or Cloak, these are like your 2 primary locations for using Themis or Percy's. Shields is a very niche location to be using Percy's at. I would not recommend it. Because if you're using Percy, you should be using all ballistics anyways. But yeah, one of these 2, and you'll be fine. Percy's is down here though, because it is pretty expensive power and cooldown wise. The others are fairly standard. Danesh. It is one of the faster, I think, options for just dealing 4 damage, but it also costs 4 power, so like, reason it's up here is because it deals hull and system damage through all shields, has some accuracy. It's mainly just that it's not actually very damage efficient. It's just good in all the other places that it's justified being in C tier despite the damage inefficiency. Yeah. Root? I think Root Ares. Oh, no, I can't talk about before the Ares nerf. That was a very different time. But yeah. Cool, C tier. Now we're gonna start seeing some weapons that actually meet the magic number of 4 damage, that requirement. We're gonna start seeing some of those. Yeah. Okay, cool. B tier. Let me turn off the game once again, because yeah, we've already shown the layouts. B tier. Royal Purifier. I was a bit skeptical about this because it does fit that whole definition of overkill, except it overkills for not that much more power in a sense. Like for 3 power, the fact that you can deal I think it does like 6 hull damage and 7 system damage, so if you somehow miss so many shots that the flagship still has 3 shields up, this thing will still take down a full artillery by itself. So it's like it is that mix of being high damage and also just having a lot of safety that I think justifies it being that high. But if you want to put it in C tier, I think that's fair as well, because it does fit that definition of being slightly overkill for 3 power. Or Root Breach Bomb, I know I said bombs that don't deal hull damage are quite dubious, but this is 1 power for 3 damage. It's a very ridiculous ratio for the fact that it goes to all shields, goes to super shields even, and for 1 power, just boom, 3 damage. It's an absurd ratio. I think this was S tier in every single normal ending tier list, like early game and late game, because it is really that broken. Yeah, you thought Vindicator would be S since it is 8 damage for 2 power. I was also thinking about that. Yes, it is arguably probably one's up there. The main reasons I held it down is because cooldown, yes. 2, it also has a weird shot delay, and shot delays are very, very bad against the MFK flagship because yes, it has shield pierce, but the moment some of its shots miss, you won't hit every single Vindicator shot, and it's because of that awkward shot delay it has. It doesn't fire as fast as a charge laser or burst laser. It has that 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of slow effect. So yeah. Root Breach Bomb in the same group with Root Bio Beam. I know, that's one of the biggest trolls they've ever done. Like, they put an S tier and an F tier root weapon in the same race. It's really, really funny. Charge 2. It's as fast as Charge Frost, but it also can be used to actually damage systems because it doesn't have that shot radius. Therefore, better. Light Charger, one of the most efficient I don't want to call it standard because it's a Renegade route, but it's not something crazy like Royal or Nexus route. So yeah, here we go. We've got Light Charger, 2 power, 5 shots, 15 seconds. 15 seconds is fine, by the way. It's the same reason I use for Charge Razor. You gotta wait 13 to 15 seconds anyways, and that's fairly acceptable. It's only when things start taking more than 17 seconds, then it starts to get a bit dicey, but 15 seconds is fine. Yeah, Rumble Charge 2 is just golden. somehow in the missile meta true ending, Charge 2 is still, it's just that good. Like, there's no other way around it. Cooldown module, I don't think there's any surprises here. There's a reason why this is exclusive and can't be bought from normal stores. Chaotic Never Miss, basically the same thing as, okay, to be fair, this is definitely like worse than Royal Purifier. I just happen to have it in that order, but it's the same thing. You can consider it overkill. You could move it down to C tier if you wanted to, but it has so much damage that it kind of compensates for bad dodges, bad misses. Where were we? Haish. I think Haish is probably one of the highest 0 power weapons alongside Equalizer. Like, I think this just shows you how broken Haish is. It's not even that slow. It's like 14 seconds, isn't it? 14 seconds, it does hull damage, system damage, and takes out cloaking in 1 shot. It's 0 power, by the way. I've talked enough about how broken this weapon is in early games, so I'm not gonna rehash it. If you want a full rant, you can go there. But it's roughly the same benefits, but now we gotta factor in the fact that it's not slot efficient, which is why it's down here. You'll see where those weapons end up. Now, 1 power, 2 damage kernels. The location chance is not the main thing, not the main reason they're up here. It's the fact that they deal hull and system damage while being able to take out cloaking in 1 shot. Fair enough. Though you will notice Artemis and Apollo is actually a tier higher because of the accuracy and the fact that they charge faster, so that's that. Chaotic Obsidian. Okay, this is a controversial one. okay, not so much controversial, but maybe less intuitive one. On paper, it sounds like it fits the definition of overkill. It is the definition of overkill. Like 12 damage is absolute overkill on any artillery. Like, but 12 damage also just knocks out 6 shields at once, and it's guaranteed hit. So this is a very unconventional weapon in the sense that I would consider Chaotic Obsidian one of the best weapons for enabling you to use a non-ballistic build. And I know that sounds very awkward considering Chaotic Obsidian is a ballistic in itself, but the only two systems that actually benefit from, well, the only two systems that are high value enough for Obsidian to hit is either drone control or shields. Everything else is like less than 5 power, so it doesn't make sense to use Chaotic Obsidian on, like, I don't know, cloaking. Yeah. Yeah, and the fact is 100% accuracy. That's a very important thing. If it did not have 100% accuracy, it would not be this high. It would probably be D tier because it's a long cooldown, 25 seconds. Like, yeah, this is the same cooldown as Bayage, by the way. But for the fact that unless you mess up and shoot it into the overcharger, which is pretty unfortunate, unless that happens, shields are gone. So you can just do whatever shenanigans you want. Like the other 4 weapon power, go sync KDR, go double root heavy, go something that benefits from all shields being down, because Chaotic Obsidian would absolutely delete all shields. You can also use the pre-igniter, that is true. So yeah, pretty backward weapon, but it's good enough. Carnage. Yeah, Carnage I mentioned, it's good against the Dreadnoughts, but not against the MFK flagship, and it's because the artillery rooms are 1x2 rooms. Now, Carnage is still pretty decent, but it's in the B tier, 1, because of the radius issue, but 2, because it messes up that holy combo of 3 payloads and an onslaught. You can't do 3 payloads and a Carnage, that's the main thing. If you use Carnage, you're cutting yourself down from 3 payloads to 2 payloads, and that's a pretty big deal. You can get 2 of them and an onslaught power rush. Call you have 3 of them. Ooh. Power rushing is a very dangerous business against the MFK flagship, I have to say. Especially with something that can't reliably shoot down the artilleries. It's a very risky business, I have to say. Also, yeah, I'd like to point out, B tier is still very good for true ending. It's just that A and S tiers are just better. You'll see what I mean when it comes to those. Because keep in mind, Carnage is I still put whoops up. Accidental spoilers. Carnage is still better than like 80% of weapons, 85% of weapons. So it's by no means a bad weapon. It's just, I think the weapons above it are more consistent. Yeah. Yep, sorry for the spoilers, but I think a bunch of those were obvious anyways. Look into it. Don't rewind, don't check back. Mute and use harbinger drones. Meteors. It's kind of ties back to that Baal argument, right? Like, but also if you, I know Baal is a very specifically created to knock down shields in the case of the MFK flagship fight. It's like, if I'm using a ballistic M and it's not as efficient as Baal at taking down shields, why am I using that? I'd rather just use ballistics to damage the enemy like directly. Because I mean, I think the way you put it is this: unless your Hull Rush can kill the flagship before it fires like at least 2 volleys, I think it's a bit too risky. Because by the time it fires 2 volleys, your super shield's 100% gone. Like, no doubt about that. But also your whole offense can get messed up by the power surge, by the missiles. You can't cloak everything. There's so many things to cloak. There's drones, there's missile artillery, there's iron artillery syncing up with beam artillery, there's power surge. Yeah, that's just a lot for a good old cloaking to handle. So I would say just the weapons above are just safer in my opinion. At this point, we're talking about consistency, because like everything in B tier, and honestly, most of the C tier, you probably can win with it. But the A and S tier weapons are just more consistent. So we are getting to that point where we're separating the good from the really good, and then there's a special tier up above. I think you can guess what it is. We'll save that grand for later. Ares, 3 power 4 damage, deals power damage as well. Fantastic. That's exactly what I want. It's not like Danesh that costs 4 power, it's 3 power and has accuracy as well. It is 1 second longer, but I would take that any day for being able to shoot at an artillery room, shut it off. Strawberry, it's a bit overkill to be honest, but with that said, the overkill is not necessarily a bad thing because you're still doing 6 power damage in that case. So this weapon, what makes it different from something like Amber Launcher for example, this goes through all shields, so you don't have to worry about shields. What on earth did I drag? There we go. You don't have to worry about shields, and you can miss 1 shot and you still take down artillery. That's good. If you do have to hit all 3 shots, that's fine, you still do more hull damage. So that's the buffer points. Definitely the main bad thing about this is the 21 second cooldown. It's pretty sketchy. Yeah, this is normal Hydra, just very decent all around. Efficient Hydra, S tier. Actually hang on, hold a thought. I'll answer that when I double check the A tier and S tier again. Maybe the S tier is just absurdly cracked and I can't justify putting it into there. But yeah, we'll see in a sec. Equalizer. Now, Equalizer is... I was tempted to put this a bit lower, to be honest. It does pass that threshold of knocking down... It knocks down 4 shields at once. So, the flagship is left with 2 shields, and that's the thing, you actually can do a lot more with just 2 shields being there as compared to everything else. Plus, if you're using a ballistic build, Equalizer knocks off all 12 points of super shield at once. You don't have to have drones. So yes, this comes down to that thing we were talking about earlier about like you should have drones, but Battery Beam has that one case where it's better than Power Core in the case you don't have drones. Kind of the same thing here with Equalizer, because Pre-Ion actually does 11 damage to super shields now ever since the nerf. So Equalizer, I think Equalizer is the only preemptive ion beam that can actually take out the entire super shield in 1 shot. So there's one more thing it has against pre-ion. So it's kind of useful in both laser and ballistic builds. Oh yeah, for sure. No, Efficient Hydra is at least A. I just forgot whether I could put it into S, because we will see what the S tier is soon. Anyways, this B tier, all very decent. There are just better options, such as the A tier. Let's see. Okay. Uplifter Burst 3? Yeah, let's say Uplifter Burst 3. 2 power, 5 damage. Very simple, very efficient. It's better than the Light Charger, obviously, because it can actually deal damage, deal system damage. And I know it's very efficient, but it does require you to use a laser build, which is not the most meta in the first place, which is why a lot of these laser weapons are, even though they're really efficient, like Light Charge, normal Light Charge, and Rebel Root Charge 2, they're just knocked down by the fact that team meta is so heavily geared against lasers. So yeah, keep that in mind. Artemis, okay, yeah. To be fair, let's talk about this one. Artemis and Apollo are very dubious. Like they probably could be like top B instead of A. For me, it's just the fact that it actually, one, accuracy, two, it's very easy to slot in, three, it's fast. So, okay, hang on. Um, I don't know if I put one down to beta, I should bring down both. Because in my mind, it is definitely these two are definitely better than the 1 power 2 damage kernels. But yeah, now now I'm second guessing myself as to whether it justifies being a whole tier higher. B tier minimum, absolutely no lower than B tier. I would not take any Artemis Cylinder. Mm, I'll think about it. I'll think about it as I talk about the rest of the A tiers. Scott Gun, 3 power 7 shots. Very, very good shield breaker. 16 second is, yes, it does touch a tad bit close to that slow side of things, but it is one of the few guns where like for 3 power you just annihilate all of the flagship shields. But it is A tier and not S tier like some of the other options, hint hint, that can do even more than that. Okay, Royal Havokizer. Now, the reason why this is like 3 whole tiers higher than the normal Havokizer is because, simply put, it's a massive upgrade over the normal Havokizer. I think out of all the Royal weapons, this is one of the largest power jumps when you compare the normal version to the Royal version. As a reminder, I'm just gonna pull up the stats because I mean, I love this weapon. I'm gonna blaze it as long as I can. So yeah, let's showcase the Havokizer and the Royal Havokizer. Yeah, found it. Cool, screen back on the line. So normal Havokizer, full power, 18 seconds, 150 beam length, 2 damage, 2 system damage, 1 shield pierce, 50% fire chance. Okay, fairly decent, quite questionable in true ending though. Let's talk about this thing. Yeah, so it's costs 1 less power, charges 3 seconds faster, has 25 pixels more beam length, does 1 more shield system damage, 1 more shield piercing, and 10% more fire chance. Like, this thing is an absurd upgrade over the base variant. Like, it is criminal how good this thing is when you compare it to the normal Havokizer. So, yeah, just for the fact that the stats are so inflated, the fact that it also has guaranteed reach, guaranteed stun, 15 second stun by the way, I don't think even the normal one has that long. Oh wait, no it does. My bad. But yeah, so you can fire this at a room. If you stun the MFK inside, the weapon, that artillery room is going to burn down because one sound fire takes about 12 seconds to burn down a weapon room. Sorry, burn down 1 bar. So if you stun the MFK for 15 seconds, the artillery is gone in 12 seconds. Because you do 3 system damage plus that 1 damage from fire. So it's effectively as good as a 4 damage. Yes, it is slower because you do have to wait that 12 seconds for the fire to kick in. But keep in mind, this is all in a 1 power beam that strikes multiple rooms and just absolutely causes havoc, by the way. Lights a reach in every room, lights a fire in 60% of tiles. So yeah, honestly bonkers crazy. It's just that we are in the missile meta sector, so yeah. Aside from that, really fun weapon. I recommend you give it a go one of these days. Stop using payloads, my guys. Just actually try something non-ballistic. Anyways, put that aside. Yeah, I think it can. 175 pixels. I think it can reach from the laser for the iron artillery to piloting, which is a crazy length to think about. Actually, no. If you want to hit cloaking, I don't think you can. Maybe you can. Maybe you can. But yeah, it's still ridiculous length. Anyways, fast combined breach kind of suck because the fire get put out. Normally, I would say yes, but I'm pretty sure the flagship has. Oh gosh, dang! I'll just check it right now. I have the game up. Oh wait, I need sensors. One second, typing in some commands. Event showdown extreme. Okay, on level 3 oxygen, it has breach sealant though, so I think that combination means the fire will last long enough thanks to the high level oxygen. And this is a quite devious decision on the dev's part. Like, this doesn't work against Sylvan because the higher difficulty Sylvan is, the lower his oxygen level is. It's quite a smart move, to be honest. But yeah, it will work if they have a high power oxygen system. Um, okay, turn that off. Where were we? How slow is laser beam? I should not have turned off the game. I should have just answered that question. Damn it. Okay. Restart. Laser laser beam is, I mean, it's slow. Yes, it is also guaranteed 3 damage to all shields to multiple rooms. 5 speed. No, that's not that bad. 5 speed. Let me find helmet for reference. Helmet. Yeah, helmet is 5, so it's exactly the same speed as helmet actually, which is not that bad. Uh, okay, say goodbye to that window again. And let me go in order. Where was I? Royal Kaiser. Royal Carnage. I will say the 3 damage is now nice. Like, one update ago, we would have put this in B tier because it didn't have the bonus damage. Now it has the bonus damage, so yeah, definitely jumps the tier up. Okay, Pegasus is in the same boat here. It's like possibly B tier. I'll see how clustered the higher tier is. Then we'll decide. Demis I think stays though. Like Demis has that flexibility of actually taking out, because no matter what artillery you shoot at, you're gonna damage either Cloak or Clone Bay along with it. So it's like you get that added flexibility. So I think Demis definitely stays in A tier, even if the others move down. Onslaught. Okay, I was tempted to put this in S tier, but it does have system damage, so it is undoubtedly the most consistent hull damage ballistic you can find, and is very good at its job. But you can't win a fight by Onslaught and Onslaught alone. It's a fantastic supplement to payloads, but payloads are doing the heavy work of disabling the enemy systems. Onslaught's just there. Like, I'm not gonna say it's just there to do nothing, because it very obviously helps you to win the fight within the time limit. But yeah, you can't just win the fight by Onslaught alone. That's my main thing. Cluster Bomb, similar story to Strawberry. You have a bit of give and take here. So comparing the Strawberry to the Cluster Bomb takes 1 less power and 2 less, and it charges 2 seconds faster. Strawberry takes 1 more power, but it also deals hull damage. So the thing with Cluster Bomb, yes, 2 power means it's very easy to slot in with your other weapons, but you need something else for hull damage. So, but here you can just combine Cluster Bomb with Onslaught, and you've got a pretty good combo going. Mod Missile is just, yeah, Mod Missile is good. I don't think there's anything else to say about it. It's just 2 power, 4 damage. 2 power, 4 damage in a pretty decent time. I think it's like 16 seconds, and you can stick modules onto it to make it even better. So there's that. Now we have the budget payload right here. I will say these are questionable, very questionable. These are also like bottom of A tier for me because of the accuracy issue. No, now then again, if you do hit them, they hit the magic number of 4 damage, and it only costs 2 power. That's the main thing. 2 power, 4 damage is a very strong ratio. Foreshadowing. But the lack of accuracy definitely just hurt it a bit, and it's a bit slow as well. It's like 18 seconds, I think. So definitely a bit questionable there. Particle Bomb, however, it has that accuracy. So while all of these don't do hull damage, at least Particle Bomb has that accuracy to help it absolutely smash any system it hits. So, fantastic option. Laser Beam. While it does not hit that 4 damage sweet spot we were talking about, the fact that it's 3 damage to, like, it's guaranteed 3 damage, by the way, to any room you point at, and it starts fires, I think it justifies the A tier placement. Like, 20 seconds is not exactly fast for sure, but it hits instantly. It's not like something like Gold Flag 2, where after the cooldown, you still have to watch it fly through the air slowly but surely. No, with Laser Beam, you just instantly hit it, light fires, swipe through 2 other rooms, clean. But we will see there are better weapons. For now, I'm gonna leave these in A tier for now, because A tier's not that crowded anyways. Like, if A tier was 3 rows long, I would probably move these down, but this tier is already very bottom heavy, so I'd like to keep some stuff high. S tier. There's a very clear divide between the S tier and the A tier, I feel. Like, let's get down to it. Now, Royal Harbinger 3 power, 9 projectiles, no radius, just absolute barrage on the system you aim it at. Fantastic. Starts fires, does stun, I think, or blast, all in one. You've got power damage, you've got system damage, you've got shield breaking. You can use this for so many different things. Absolutely fantastic. We have Chaotic Slot Gun, which is a... Oh wait, sorry, one thing. Royal Harbinger is a little bit slow. That's the main downside. Everything else about it is fantastic. Same with Chaotic Slot Gun. It's 3 power, it absolutely decimates shields. Cooldown's not too bad. The main downside about Slot Gun is that it's got radius, so you can only use it for shield breaking. You can't use it for like system damage, just like you could with the Royal Harbinger 3, for instance. But yeah, but I would say these two are so high up because I know I say this is a very missile meta sector, but that's exactly the reason why these two are so high, because having one of these, it basically gives you the access card to using a non-ballistic build. Like, if you look at the best the very best non-ballistic weapons in the S to B tier, we've got like Charge 2, Vindicator, Light Charger, Up with the Burst 3, Slot Gun, and these. So without at least one, I would say maybe 2 of these weapons, you probably don't want to go lasers. It's just too risky otherwise. But these are so strong that just having one of these would allow you to justify going a laser build, just because of how efficient they are. Right. Anyways, next one, Energy Missile. Whoa, this is a major surprise. We just go to all shields, deals 5 iron damage to shields and to the system you target. It deals power damage along with it as well. So yeah, and no radius issues. It's got accuracy instead. Wow, like all for 2 power. Ah man, I wonder what the cooldown is. 15 seconds. That's still pretty good. So yeah, I've talked a lot about Energy Missile already. So I'm not gonna talk much on that. We're actually just gonna move on to these ones. Finally, Big Iron's not in the S plus broken tier that needs to be nerfed, because it's a once per fight use, and the draw of it being able to knock down shields and a system of your choice at the same time is far less significant in a sector where missiles are the meta. That said, it is still very broken. The fundamental concept of disabling something just as the fight starts. I know you have to get through the super shield, but as soon as that happens, you can just pop and one artillery just goes offline immediately. So fundamentally broken. Gatling gun, you reignite this and then you win. I don't think there's anything else to say about this. Oh no, okay, one weakness, you can't win this solo. That's why it's not S+. You can pre-ignite this, you still have to survive until that thing eventually kills because of the massive radius. It can miss, I think. Not likely, but it can miss. It doesn't do system damage. it has to fight an uphill battle against the insane shield recharge. So these are some small points that just stop it from being S plus broken, you know. The fact that it's an S still says it's like a fantastic weapon to use. So please don't misunderstand me. It's absolutely good. S plus. We've got who called Chaotic Strawberry? It's up here. Chaotic Strawberry, very very powerful. You pre-ignite it, you just win. With Rigor, you pre-ignite it, you just win. Chaotic Nightshade, you shoot it once, you also just win. It's this is like Chaotic Obsidian with like far fewer downsides, right? You nuke all shields, or if you want to, you shoot it. You still take down 3 to 4 shield layers, and you also nuke anything you aim at. You spawn 7 free mantis, so that alleviates a lot of the boarding pressure off you. Plus, the MFKs are too busy dealing with the free mantis to come and board you. So it's just good for so many different things. Wait, what did... Hang on. Okay, sorry, my chat just like loaded. It was stuck on, hang on. I think I was stuck at one point where you said like, where we were talking about the oxygen, and then just suddenly loaded all of this conversation. Sorry, I need to like check back everything here. Laser beam is never missed on steroids. Yep. No system damage. Yeah. Oh, Slot is a statement out of how rushes don't work because it's a skill issue. True. Particle bomb in A tier. Particle bomb. I almost say particle bomb you can only use at most one. It's my recommendation. Any more and you're gonna be lacking in the hull damage department, I think. Oh, I guess if you use 3 particle bombs and like 1 onslaught, you could make it work. Because particle bomb is really budget payload. It's 3 seconds slower, but you're basically guaranteed to hit. So, yeah. 3 power gum harbinger 3 royal weapons. We went to slide. Yeah. I know we talked about energy missile being hard to get, but that doesn't change the fact that it's broken. We're cool about it, yep. Big Ion, Chaotic Sword. Yes, Chaotic Sword Silver Prime, we will get into that in the next tier list. Not this one. Because right now this one acts as a alternative to Chaotic Obsidian because you can just nuke shields in one shot. And whichever MK happens to be in there, just for the funnies. Back. Bomb piloting it becomes fine, yeah. It has spread, yes. But there are also several projectiles, so it's like... the normal Nightshade is 5 missiles. They gave it 2 more projectiles and turned all projectiles into ion. It's just so funny. Like, I don't know whether they thought taking away the hull bust meant that they needed to give it 2 more projectiles, or they gave it 2 more projectiles just because they wanted it to be broken. Either way, it's really fun. It's really funny how insanely overpowered this thing turned out to be. Because I think the radius is basically like, it's basically the same as Bao, but you've got 2 times more, you've got more than 2 times the amount of projectiles that Bao has, and you spawn 3 mantis with it. It's so ridiculous. So insane. You wanted a tier list, and here we are, yeah. Unfortunately, we're basically about at the end, so... If you want more tier lists, you can always check out the previous weapon tier list I made like 2 weeks ago, so yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, Chaotic Nightshade is also an instant win condition in the base game, so I don't think there's any surprise here. Why are all the chaotic weapons white? No clue, you're gonna have to ask the devs about that. I honestly have no idea why. That's the funny thing, the description suggests iron damage to be a debuff. They gave 2 extra projectiles to balance it. But even without 2 extra projectiles, it's the same efficiency as energy missiles. Minus the fact that obviously it's got radius and it charges slower and takes more power. But you also spawn free mantis, so was there a need for 2 more projectiles? Was there really a need for that? So, yeah, I don't know, like, okay, to be clear, when I say needs enough, I know Chaotic Strawberry and Rift Breaker are like, they are obviously broken, and that's fine. I feel like Chaotic Nightshade is meant to be a bit more balanced than this. Like, I don't think it's meant to be on the same caliber of brokenness as the other two are. Like, these two feel intentional, this one does not. To a certain extent, I understand Chaos weapons are meant to be like exciting, and it's fine to some of them go overboard, like Chaotic Silvergun, Chaotic Big Ion, Chaotic Obsidian, for example. Oops, sorry. But I feel like Chaotic Nightshade was accidentally overtuned. Yeah, Kicks did not approve this. Okay. So that's almost the entire tier list. There's one weapon I've been just mentioning all this time, complaining about it so much. It's so special I just made it its own tier. Okay, alright, let's just sit down and talk about Halo, just like that one time when I spent like 5 to 10 minutes just talking about Taish in the early game. Let's spend 5 to 10 minutes talking about Payload in True Ending. Okay. Look, objectively, it's actually not, clearly it's not as broken as any of these. I just put it up here to make a point. So, obviously it's, in power level wise, it's probably here. I'm putting this up here just to make a point. Here's the thing. Everything in the S plus tier and S tier are special items that you need to obtain specially. None of these are obtainable normally. Before the last update, you could get like 5 payloads in Recovery Site, which is as early as Sector 2. What? Like, I'm glad they nerfed that so that you can't get 2 guaranteed payloads in the Recovery Site anymore. You can only get them through the Lucky Ruins, for example. But still, guys, fun fact, did you know payload is tied for being the most common weapon to appear in True Ending stores and event drops? It has a rarity of 2 alongside Harbinger 1. So payload is basically tied for being the most likely weapon that you can buy from any store. And may I add, on top of that, it's 100 scrap. So it's the cheapest AD weapon except Pacifier, but who buys Pacifier? So, okay, maybe I should just list down everything that makes this so good, and then we sum it up at the end. So, first of all, 2 power, 4 damage. Hits that exact sweet spot of 4 damage. Nukes her, artillery, nukes, clone bay, nukes, teleporter, nukes, cloaking. Does it with 2 power, does it in 15 seconds by the way, which is, it's faster than particle bomb, heavy spore, cluster bomb. It's faster than any other alternative. Yes, it doesn't have accuracy, but doesn't matter if you can just spam 3 of them. If you have 3 payloads, well, even if 2 hit, that's like 2 artilleries down in 15 seconds. Then, what else? Puts a breach, puts a stun, stuns whoever MK is in there, repairs are stalled, they're stunned, there's a breach. Sorry, I already mentioned that. Bypasses super shields, by the way, you can just highlight bypass. So even if you have a small, cheap Harbinger 1 drone slowly chipping away at the energy shield, you can just send your payload through the energy shield. It'll hit the artillery systems anyways. And I think above all, these stats, yes, I've already mentioned, these are not as good as the S plus and the S tier, but it's the fact that payload is so common, it's so easy to get. This is a weapon that it makes any ship feel True Ending is easy. And that's a problem in my eyes. Like, do you know the time, a long time ago, I think this was 2 to 3 years ago, I was playing on Engineer A, and Engineer A was like an E tier ship at that time because it didn't have the Combat 2 drone yet. I pretty sure I beat true ending with like 0 damage taken. Like, you can't tell me that's insane. I just docked up on 3 payloads and I just took a combat drone and I won. It's the fact that it makes every ship have the confidence to go into true ending and just smash the flagship every single time with high consistency. I think that's an issue because its consistency is unrivaled by any other weapon. Like, even most of the weapons in A tier are not as easily accessible, right? Yeah. One from Guard, one from Vagabond, 3 from Ruin. Yeah. That was what happened before this update. Now they've taken away the 2 guaranteed options. Thanks. Like, that was needed, I think. But we gotta go further. Like, payload is still too strong. The fact that you can get a true ending and just use it to smash the normal ending as well. Yeah. Yeah. This is a weapon that I hope they don't wait until the true end rework, because that will take like way too long. Uh Honestly, if it were up to me, I would just we gotta do something to like, I don't mind if missiles are the meta, but it doesn't need to feel this polarizing that the only non-ballistic um weapons in the S tier is like 2 extremely rare weapons and an event and a special weapon which is intentionally designed to be broken. This as well. Like, do you see how few non-ballistics there are compared to ballistics? Even the normal flagship fight doesn't have this level of disparity. +1 second cooldown so you don't auto-fire the cloak. Those who know. Those who know. Yeah. How would I nerf payload? 4 damage to 3 damage. Very simple. If you want, give it accuracy, but it can't do 4 damage, dude. 4 damage for 2 power it's a ridiculous combo. Like, it's, how should I say? Just think about Heavy 2. Like, you know why Heavy 2 is so much better than Frost 1, Frost 1, for example? Because it deals twice the damage. So something like this, like, 2 power 4 damage is just, it's a very broken ratio. The reason why 1 power for 2 damage works is because, or at least it's not super broken, is because it is not slot efficient, meaning it's not good on 3 or 2 weapon slot chips. 2 power 4 damage breaks that convention because you fulfill that 2 damage for 1 power ratio while fitting all in 1 weapon slot. That's the big issue. The reason why Heavy Laser 2 is not even talked about as much is because we've been in Missileverse for so damn long. Like, we've been through Kernelverse, we've been through Missileverse. We are honestly still inside Missile and Kernelverse. We're probably in Payloadverse now. It's just 2 power 4 damage is a very, very broken ratio. See this. Like, yeah. It doesn't help that the MK flagship's magic number is 4 damage for disabling like half of its important systems. Yeah, like, Halo just got a lot of stuff on top of it. I mean, I think I like the hull damage just so it feels distinct from a normal bomb, because if you take away the power damage and the system damage, it becomes like, what's that thing? Breach Bomb 2 from Vanilla. Then, I kind of like the hull damage element to it. That makes it feel like an AETA weapon where they're very heavy on hull. But to that end, it does not need 4 system damage. My number 1 nerf, take it from 4 damage to 3 system damage. Absolutely. If you want, give it a compensating 10% accuracy buff. But yeah. I mean, removing power damage would make it a bit less useful, but the reason why Particle Bomb is up here is it just whacks for system damage, so payload will do the same thing. We need to take off the system damage first. That's my thought. Because if we don't take off the system damage, this thing is gonna smash every single ending it comes across. even the flagship ending right now. Oh, how damage one system damage. I think you should be talking to Gable about that one. He's got that. I'm pretty sure Gable has that one payload launcher which does like absurd hull damage but almost no system damage. So he had the idea. He had that idea, yeah. So, yeah. Um, I when I turn this into Google Docs, I probably will put payload like here in terms of power level, but oh well, no, hang on. Raw payload would be like here, but yeah, I just put it up here because we need to talk about this more. This thing is, has it been buffed? Has it ever been nerfed? The only nerf it's gotten is like the rarity, I guess, because the guaranteed spawns are no longer there. Miss out on the bomb, yeah. That's a pretty funny idea. Yeah. Okay, but there is true ending tier list. I hope most of these made sense. I know there's some points of contention, like this whole category of Artemis, Tyche, and Pegasus could be in B tier if you wanted to. I don't mind. Baal could be C tier if you wanted to. I don't mind. But okay, but I think the F tier, I would say, is almost certainly locked in. Like, these are all weapons I would just not recommend using at all. And then everything else above it is like, okay, you can argue there's one or two builds that would use it. And then we have the like clearly broken tier. So a typical good true ending layout would consist of only B tier weapons or better. That's my 2 cents. Unless you're using lasers, in which case you won't have the best of the best lasers. But then again, that's part of the reason why lasers are just not meta, because not enough of them are that efficient to justify using against the MFK flagship. Ace. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm curious to know whether they've done anything about payloads in the past. Nerf payload. Yeah, okay, yeah, I agree. We nerf payload, and then we make the MK flagship fight more accessible for laser builds. My opinion, not for 1 shield layer, so we're dealing with 5 shield layers instead of 6. I think that's my idea. And then we see where we go from there. Because I think this is a very quick change. Just do it in the next patch 5.6, let it out, see how we react, and then if needed, we tweak it further. I don't expect big tweaks, considering the whole true end rewrite is eventually going to happen and all that. But I these are very quick changes. So yeah, in summary, -1 system damage from payload. Give it 10% accuracy bonus if it does too bad after that. For the MFK flagship itself, maybe plus 15 seconds on the runaway timer and 1 less shield layer. I think that's good. That's a decent start to it. Yeah, Equalizer is B tier. Right here. Nah, I know what Forge Master's intent was, but we gotta keep in line with the theme that it's late game. It would be an absolute joke if the MFK flagship had less shields than like some random sector 4 renegade. I do think theming and context is important, which is why I kind of like the power damage on payload just as a mark of it being an Aether weapon. So I would rather nerf things other than the hull damage. It should be the thing is, this is a true ending tier list, so it's specifically designed for true ending. On normal ending, I'm pretty sure I put it like S tier, so you're not wrong there. It's just that against the stuff you face in true ending is a bit less useful compared to how it is in normal ending. Yeah, the fact that it's 1 use, that is a big issue. I think it is actually the highest 1 use single use weapon. Tied for highest, I believe. Yeah, Um, Not really. I mean, unless you count Obsidian. Technically, Obsidian you're gonna fire it like at once or twice. But no, strictly speaking, I think Equalizer is one of the best zero one shot. No, sorry. Well, okay, Big Iron doesn't count. Big Iron's just broken. But Equalizer's, yeah. Cool. Okay. I yeah, that's it. I think most of these make sense. I'm happy with most of these ended up. Like we did make a couple of switches a little bit. But yeah. Hey, glad to see like the Rad Bomb not just rotting in niche for every single tier list. It's actually not bad. You may see it up here in Nexus tier list as well, but look forward to that on Thursday, I believe plan was. Equalizer and Chain Pinpoint. Yeah, I can see that. It's just that setting that up safely in True End does require a bit more effort, which is why Chain Pinpoint ended up quite a lot lower. Oh, Big Iron. I ranted about this and how we needed, like, if I recall correctly, the three big, the three main weapons that need to be nerfed overall, in my opinion, is like, and okay, by the way, I'm not talking about True anymore. I'm just talking about in general across the entire game. Needs nerfs. Oops, sorry. Needs nerfs. The three weapons over the tiers I've discussed so far: Payload, Big Iron, and Taish. Those are the three. Taish for early game, Big Iron just in general, Payload for True End. Yes, that's fine in my opinion. To a certain extent, we gotta do some. I don't know. Yeah, it is very tricky to balance. I appreciate their attempts. They have constantly tried nerfing it. I'm not saying they're not doing anything. Like, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the attempts. It's just it's not an easy solution to solve. Because if you make missile weapons too inefficient, then you just block out one whole class of weapons from being viable in the end game. And it's always it's always going to be the truth that ballistics are going to be more efficient early on, because they bypass all shields and they're generally efficient for doing so, and the justification is that they cost ammo, which is limited. So yeah. Nexus tier should be pretty quick. Yeah, once again, FTL. I'm sorry, but you're probably gonna see the exact same FTL. Like, almost the exact same. A lot of these weapons that do not work in True End do not work in the Nexus either. So, prepare to see a lot of familiar faces, I would say. Wait, no. Okay, Nexus tier list is a bit... I haven't fully decided how I'm gonna go about the next tier list. I might go about it the same way as this normal one and just talk about weapon versatility, but yeah, I think it would be a bit too specific if I got into like doing Hack Cloak versus Fire builds versus Sabotage builds, and I think it would be too messy. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like, vanilla is just not good enough. That's it. Yeah. Oh well. Anyways, that is the Nexus tier is gonna be non-missile F tier. I will say no. I think there's gonna be a bit of things we gotta talk about, because there are some things that are actually useful, which may be surprising. But yeah. Uh, yeah, that's a pretty much a given. Razor Beam S tier for Nexus. That's a given. I don't even have to hide that fact. Cool. With that said, that's it. So yeah, I will transcribe this onto the Google Docs after we've done the Nexus tier list as well, so we can do it all in one shot. Hopefully I don't procrastinate this time. Anyways, that's it for today. I will see you all on Thursday for Nexus tier list, and then next week will be ship requests. So, oh, finally less talking. Anyways, see y'all.